Do you find it hard to trust? Do you find it hard to open up to people? Does it feel unsafe for you to be vulnerable? As children, we need emotional safety in order to thrive. But if we don't get that, we end up as adults who are constantly in fight or flight. We're constantly feeling that the world isn't safe. And in order to change this, we need to build that safety within first. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse, and I also offer twin flame and spiritual guidance. This is the thing, as children, we need that safe space. We are dependent on our parents. We're dependent on our caregivers. And if we didn't get the safety that we needed from them, we end up in this wall of defense for all our lives, effectively. And due to past relationships as well, we finally feel, because of our wounding, we end up meeting somebody who isn't for us, who's toxic, who's narcissistic. We latch onto them and we feel like this is what love is. That's our feeling of safety. But our feeling of safety within our childhood or within toxic relationships was toxic. It was abusive. It was volatile. We were led to believe that it wasn't safe to open up. We were led to believe that it wasn't safe to express our emotions. As children, we're told to stop crying, to be brave, that, we have to stay strong. You can't express your emotions. And this is the thing, if we're constantly blocking our emotions, we're literally from day one, we're building up these barriers around ourselves because we're not getting the safety we need externally. So we're trying to build that safety within. And that's very difficult. How is a child supposed to effectively build a safe space for itself? Because a child is dependent on someone else. So we're dependent on somebody else to give us that safety. So then we spend our whole lives feeling that the world isn't safe. We end up in relationships where we have been vulnerable. We have expressed ourselves and we've been shunned and shamed. And we've been told once again that our opinion doesn't matter or that our emotions or our feelings don't matter. So we're constantly, the walls just keep going up and up and up and up and up. And they constantly keep going up. So we get to a stage where we're in this fight, flight, or freeze mode all the time. The way I describe it, it's like you're constantly waiting for something to happen. You're constantly waiting for something to go wrong. You're constantly waiting for somebody to hurt you. And I've noticed this with myself lately. When I'm trying to relax in the evening or trying to relax on the couch, I feel my body, every so often I'll be conscious of my body is like this. My legs are tight and my whole body is literally just tight, rigid. And I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? Just let go, it's fine. And it'll keep happening. Every so often I'll be just sitting there and I can feel my body closing up again. And that's the thing. I'm literally in this defense mechanism of, everything is unsafe. Everything isn't going to work out. Everything sometimes going to go wrong. We're in this energy of this defensive energy all the time. We're constantly thinking that if somebody, this is another thing actually. When somebody is actually nice to us, we're actually kind of going, what do they want? There's an ulterior motive here. It's not safe. And it's only really since say. For me personally, I felt safe around my friends, and I did feel safe around my family at one stage, but I never felt safe in my relationships, my romantic relationships. I look back now and I felt it's funny. I live alone. I've lived alone for the last, how many years? About 8 years now. And I've lived alone for the last 7 years. And, I don't feel unsafe. I did at one stage when I had a fear-based entity attached to me, but I feel more safe now living alone than I did living with my exes. Now that's scary. I had a man in the house with me on 2 different occasions. I lived with 2 of them, and I felt so unsafe in both those relationships. I was always in my masculine energy. I was always in my defensive energy. I was never in my receptive mode. And if we're always in defense mode, if we're always in, walls up mode, we cannot receive love, and we cannot feel safe to receive love. And I found I only started to properly open my heart again in December last year, to friendships. I was blocking out friendships as well. I was distancing myself from friends, and I wasn't opening up to them either. I was effectively turning to stone. I was just so afraid, and I remember actually getting the download as well, that I felt so unsafe. I was afraid to be loved, and I realised that love wasn't actually a safe place. You know, if we grew up in toxic childhoods or went into toxic relationships, our model of love is the furthest thing from safety ever that we could ever even imagine. You know, so how do we as adults change that? How do we feel safe? You know, when everyone around us, everyone around us is unsafe now. You know, especially if we're going through an ascension or an awakening. You know what I mean? We've had to walk away from so many people. And this is so hard because the people that once made us feel safe, if we actually did have a good support network and we did actually feel safety within our environment at one stage, that all went to shit because of our awakening. We've had to walk away from people. People have changed. People have gotten bitter towards us. People have gotten resentful towards us for our healing. You know, so the foundations that we did even find safe at one stage have crumbled. All of them have crumbled. So it is so hard for us to let people in. And, you know, for me, I was even distancing myself from friends. And it was only last year when my friend opened me up to the fact that I needed to let people in. I needed to open my heart. I needed to allow people into my circle, my existence. And, you know, that was so hard for me. But it's only in the last couple of months that I've actually been able to feel safe in front of my friends. Like, obviously, I was letting my walls down and I was letting them in. But there was still that defense up. It was still there. It was still like, I can't. And like lately, I've actually cried in front of both my friends. And it's just like, I think that the feel, not only like, you know, crying is a safe thing to do. Crying is a healthy release. But I think being able to cry in front of somebody is the ultimate feeling of safety. Because if you can express yourself emotionally in front of somebody, that's true safety. And, you know, for me to be able to ugly cry in front of my friends lately is a big thing for me, because oftentimes, like, we're not trying to be emotional. We're trying not to be emotional in front of people. We're literally trying to push the fucking tears back in. Like, it's like, I'm fine. And it's just like, no, let the tears out. So when you're actually able to cry, but it's even not just crying in front of people. Can you cry in front of yourself? I've heard so many people say they don't cry. Like, you know, are you not even safe enough in your own company to let a tear out? Like, if you're not able to, like, that's how rigid and tight you are, is that you're not even able to shed a tear. That's how fucking afraid you are of this world, that you cannot, you know, express yourself. And that's the thing, like, this world is proven over and over and over again that it's not a safe place. People are proven over and over again that they're not safe environments, they're not safe people. So we have to build that safety within. And how do we do that? We reparent our inner child. This is the thing. You know, the reason we don't feel safe is because our inner child does not feel safe. Because of that lack of affection as kids, that lack of love, that lack of validation, that lack of being seen. You know what I mean? When you expressed yourself as a child, were you ignored? Or were you reprimanded? Were you told not to be emotional? Were you told to stay strong, to grow up effectively? And this is what it is. Like, we've been told it's not safe. Over and over again, we've been shown it's not safe. That this world is just going to hurt us over and over again. But we have to build that safety within. Nurture and reparent your inner child. And this is the thing, this is so important. You know, we neglect to look after ourselves. We really do. We neglect to have self-compassion or self-love. But think of it this way. Your inner child, the younger version of you, is still alive within you, and is still wounded and is still feeling so unsafe. And it's only in making them feel like that the world is safe, that you are safe, that you'll eventually feel safe within yourself, and that you'll attract that safety into your life as well. So how do we do this? But acknowledge that you have an inner child. Acknowledge that they're there. Acknowledge that they're in pain, and acknowledge that they don't feel safe. If you find it hard to trust people, if you find it hard to be vulnerable, if you think it's weak to be vulnerable, these are all so many reasons that you're in this energy of protection, or what perceived protection. Like, we think that we're protecting ourselves with these walls, but we're not. You know, we're not just blocking pain from coming into our lives when we put up walls. We're blocking love as well. We're blocking safety effectively. Like, the walls are not keeping us safe. The walls are keeping us trapped. And that's a fact. You know what I mean? And those walls need to come down, and you need to start nurturing yourself and your inner child. Be compassionate towards them. You know what I mean? Ask them what they need. Where did you feel unsafe? How can I make you feel safe now? Because it all starts within. Every single part of it starts within. You know what I mean? We keep seeking outside ourselves for safety. We keep seeking outside ourselves for validation. We keep seeking outside ourselves for that love. But we can't find that unless we feel safe within ourselves. You know, when we were wounded, we attracted toxic relationships. That's a big thing. We have healed that now, but there's still pain within us. There's still that fear of letting other people into our lives, the fear of repeating the past. You know, and there's just the fear of being hurt again. You know what I mean? But I think we're hurting ourselves more because we're not doing what's needed to make ourselves feel safe. You know, if we're constantly looking outside ourselves for somebody to make us happy, to make us feel loved or lovable, or to feel safe, we're never going to be able to appreciate it or, you know, feel it effectively. Because, like, you know, we can't love ourselves, or we can't love somebody fully or expect somebody else to love us fully unless we fully love ourselves. And that's a fact. You know, I look back on when I did feel unsafe or when I did feel unworthy. I attracted toxic relationships. I attracted more unsafety into my life. Because when you perceive something, you can actually attract more of it. So what you think, you believe. So if you think the world is a safe place, you're going to have a safe place. But if you had an unsafe childhood, if you had unsafe relationships in the past, your perception is going to be that the world is unsafe, that people are unsafe, and you're actually going to attract more of that into your life. So it's trusting that there is safe people in this world, trusting that you can express yourself, trusting that it's okay to be vulnerable, you know. And it's kind of an alien concept for all of us, because we are still in this energy of we're being proven over and over again that the world isn't safe, that people are not trustworthy, and that it's not safe to be vulnerable. We've been told that it's weak to be vulnerable, but it's not. It takes great strength to take down those walls. It takes great strength to reparent your inner child, because this is effectively it. You're becoming the parent that your inner child needed. You're becoming that love and that safety that your inner child needed. And this is it. When you can give that model of healthy love to your inner child, that will switch your system. It will switch how you perceive. You'll actually start to feel safe again. You know, I feel safe now in my environment. I feel safe with my friends. The energy lately, and I don't know if any of you else have gone through it, but there's a massive energy of feeling unsafe and the energy of being betrayed in the past. And that's the big one. That word betrayal keeps coming up. We've been betrayed by our caregivers. We've been betrayed by ex-partners. We've been betrayed by friends. We've been betrayed by family members. We've been betrayed by a lot of people. And that energy has come up over and over again. And it's like, if it makes us want to go back into that box, really. You know what I mean? We're being reminded of all the times that we were unsafe. And I suppose there's a lot of things that are still proving that. Do you know what I mean? So we have to make our inner child believe and know and trust the fact that we are a safe place. We can be the safety that we never had. And it all starts within us. And that's a fact. You know, be that safe place for yourself. Be that safe place for your inner child. Love and nurture them the way they deserve to be loved. And as I said, in feeling that safety within, we can start to open up and trust people more. Because the more our inner child feels safe, the more we're going to be brave enough to let our walls down and to understand that the world isn't as unsafe as we perceived it to be. You know, there are good people in this world. There are people that do love you, and there are people that are going to let you express yourself and be exactly who you are. So it all starts within. Parent your inner child, parent yourself, love and validate yourself, and make yourself feel safe, because then you'll be able to attract that safety around you as well. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a free discovery call today, and I'd love nothing more than to help in your path. Also, I'm hosting a Reparent Your Inner Child workshop on November 10th at 6 p.m. Ireland UK time, which will be really helpful in creating that safe space for yourself. Also, I have another channel. If you want information about that, comment below. I have another channel called Aligning with Angie, where I will be sharing a guided meditation every week. The information for that is in the description box.